Welcome to the H.E.A.L, Help, Elevate, and Learn podcast. This podcast is a guide to healing your inner child and maturing your inner adult. This is the place where we slow down, look within, and begin the journey of restoring what was lost, silenced, or forgotten. Here, we believe that healing the inner child is not about reliving the past, it's about rewriting your future. Together, we'll uncover the wisdom, the strength, and the love you've always carried inside. So take a deep breath. You're safe, you're seen, and you're right where you need to be. Hello, everybody. How you doing today? This is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal. We're introducing you to yourself. And I want to welcome you to another episode of the H.E.A.L podcast. H.E.A.L is an acronym for Help, Elevate, and Learn, and it was based on my last book by the same title, but the subtitle is A Guide to Healing Your Inner Child. I'm currently finishing up the touches of my sequel, which is going to be a guide to maturing your inner adult. And you'll notice this year or this season on my podcast, I've included some questions that really talk about not just the inner child, but also the inner adult. And I'm so excited to have our guest tonight. I'm so glad that I'm able to share with you the information and inspiration that she's going to bring to us tonight. But before we get started, I do want to mention our sponsor, none other than BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who's had years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, via a phone call, a video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable, it is the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal or choose SakoniPrinceHeal during your sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. And again, we want to thank our sponsor, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this amazing episode of the H.E.A.L podcast. Well, without further ado, I want to bring up our guest, and that's none other than my friend, Dr. H.E.A.L. Dr. H.E.A.L, how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, fantastic. Listen, take a minute and tell the people about yourself.
Medical provider. I'm an author, a mother, and I'm also I coach a lot of different levels of leadership. I'm a motivational speaker. I mentor a lot of women and men. I just believe in giving back. I do so many things and so many facets until I almost forget about what all I do. But my main thing that I always do is that while I'm out here on this journey that we call life, I'm out here to give back to society, give back to us on so many levels, and just to help people overcome some of the things they've been through and just don't know how to go through it. So my passion is giving. That's what I do.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely can understand that. And like I remember telling my coach, my good friend, Dr. Reuben West, I said, if I'm not here to help, then why am I here?
Exactly.
And so I share that same sentiment with you. But listen, let's take a minute and let's answer some of these probing questions. And I know I've already had a chance to share them with you, but I want to get your insight on them. So our first question is, what does maturing your inner adult mean to you, and how has that shown up in your personal journey?
Maturing my inner childhood. I actually had to parent. I had to become a parent of maturity, which means that I had to get a control of it. I had to take over it, my self-awareness, my self-control, and not let it continue to impact me. Because what I found out is that if I didn't take control, my whole life itself at this point would be in an uproar. So I had to get it where I can take a hold of it. Sort of like when you in competition with something, you know, you want to take the prize home. So that means that
Mhm.
I had to find strategies of how I was going to get it, grab it, hold on to it, and not let it control me.
Okay. Okay. I know that that's one thing that a lot of people sometimes struggle with because it's really dealing with ourselves. There's an African proverb that says, if you conquer the enemy within, the enemy without can do you no harm.
Mhm.
And I believe that's what you're saying about having to put in the work to get control of ourselves so that we can
Mhm.
operate in a way that's really for our best good. And that's one of the
Right.
reasons why I really wanted to make sure, that I focus my sequel on maturing the inner adult. Because once
Mhm.
the inner child is healed, or once you've gone through a certain level of healing with your inner child, the next thing is, how do you show up as a mature adult? And that's where that part comes in.
Mhm.
So many of us carry unhealed parts of our childhood. What are some signs that your inner child is still in control of your decision making today?
Acting out, not having making indecisive decisions, just
Hmm.
out here acting per se crazy, perhaps because you letting it get to you, not
Right,
having that
right.
control, showing insecurity. That's number one. If something comes to you and it may trigger you or something, you just can't
Hmm.
handle it, and it just you having flashbacks per se, I would say, and
Right,
it's just you have to be able to recognize your fears, and you got
right,
to be able to
right,
come up with some type of coping mechanism to help you get through it.
right.
Healing is a process, so of course,
Yes.
nothing happens overnight, and sometimes you never really get over it, if I can just be real with it. So
Hmm.
you got to come to the realization of how I'm going to control this. So you can't let things that could trigger your past. People may not know what all you've been through, but it's just the
Right,
little things that trigger you, and they can say, "Hey, I know she been through something. Hey, I know he went through something." So you got to
right.
be able to take it and just hold on to it. Triggers are the number one because people are watching you 24/7. People are watching you when you don't even know that you're being watched, and they're just
That's
waiting
true.
for you, like as we call it, a walking time bomb per se. But it's
Right,
on
right,
the mental state of it. So I
right,
just say triggers. Triggers are the number one to me in my life that can really just make me become not up to par, as I always say and tell my kids. It just pushes me back so many levels and so many steps that where I thought I was going forward, put me back to that. So those triggers, whatever your triggers are, if you have to write them down, get them, hold on to them, know what triggers you know, what coping mechanism you're going to use at that point, and
right,
just keep focusing on it.
right. Being able to step back and look at what impacted us and what affected us and what we went through, it allows us an opportunity to, like you said, build coping mechanisms and have them in place. But I think even before we get triggered, it's identifying, okay, this situation or being in the situation may trigger me. And so if
Mhm.
we can identify it beforehand, maybe we can avoid the situation altogether. Now, of course, there are times that things happen and you find yourself in a situation where you didn't see it coming, but now you're there, and then you have a choice. And the choice
Right.
is, do I react or do I respond?
Mm-hmm.
And I oftentimes, like to tell people that, we don't have first reactors, we have first responders. People like the
Mm-hmm.
police, like the fire department, like the paramedics, they are trained to go into situations. They go through training to where they know how to respond and not just react. And even in our own lives, in order for us to mature our inner adult, we have to be able to identify situations that are affecting us, and we have to have a response. And I know, and, and in fact, I'm gonna share this real quick because I think it fits right here. After I went through certain courses of therapy, I
Mhm.
realized that I was reacting and I wasn't responding. So what I had to do was
Mhm.
I had to stop and I had to start processing information. And when I was
Mhm.
doing that, somebody asked me like, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm okay. I'm actually taking a minute because I used to react this way, but now I'm
Right.
having to reprogram myself so I can respond. So I can have a response, like the response I want instead of the reaction that doesn't serve me. And so you're right.
Exactly.
Those triggers can definitely be a game changer if we're not careful and if we don't pay
Mhm.
attention to them.
Exactly.
So, how can someone begin to recognize the difference between reacting from their inner child and responding as their mature adult self?
Reacting as their inner child um, is per se is acting like a child. I hate to say it. The outbursts, emotional disturbance,
Hmm.
just
Tantrums.
tantrums, like
Yeah.
just like a baby wanting a piece of candy or something and he can't get it.
Right,
It's
right.
just actual behavior itself, where it's not trying. You're gonna see it. People gonna see that you're acting on a different level. Your behavior kind of paints the picture of what you are, or who are you at that moment. Not saying
Right,
forever,
right.
but when people see your inner child emerge while you're
Exactly.
an adult, then they already know, oh, something is going on, seriously going on. And then
Right,
people are
right.
so quick to judge. You know how they are. They're quick to
Yeah,
judge. So if
yeah.
you have a big major um, concept in your life where you're struggling with insecurity,
Hmm.
then here we go back to trigger. So then you're going
Right,
to act on a different level. But on a
right.
maturity part, as a maturity dealing with inner child episodes or crisis or however you want to define it,
Hmm.
we are in a place where we are self aware of what's going on, which means instead of reacting, we're going to
Hmm.
make sure that we kind of base it. I would say base it where it doesn't come out on a level where it's distasteful. So
Right,
you
right,
want to take it and you want to be able to handle it like, as we say, adult conversation pieces or
right.
adult actions. What, as an adult, people are quick to say, "You're too old to be doing that. You're too old to be acting that way." So
Yeah.
on a maturity level, it's all about consistency of how you're going to handle it and
Mm.
self-awareness of how you
Right.
can control your inner child behaviors.
That's true. That's true. And recognizing and understanding it. And see, a lot of people don't want to admit that they have issues or don't want to admit that they need work or don't want to admit that they need healing. They want to
Exactly.
pretend everything's okay, everything's
Mhm.
fine, I'm good. But then
Mhm.
when they have that moment where they explode or where they blow up, then it becomes evident that hey, there's
Yeah.
something there. And I guess I just find it interesting how if we're going to be the best version of ourselves, that means that we have to do better. We have to critique ourselves. There is no team, no sports team that doesn't look at their game reel. They don't see what they did good and what they did bad, but they also actually they watch game reels of other people. And so
Mhm.
it's so important for us to be proactive in the things that we're doing in order for us to be that mature version of ourselves, to actually be that model. Because when we are
Exactly.
acting out of our insecurities, that's not what we want everybody else around us doing. We want everybody else
Right.
around us to be mature adults. So we have to do just that. And listen, we have a
Mhm.
couple of comments here, so I'm gonna drop them in the show here. We have
Okay.
Samuel. I don't know. Well, he said, "Let's heal." Samuel Isas. I know I'm gonna butcher that name, but anyway. But yeah, he said, "Let's heal." Next up, let's see. We have Dr. Ladanya Best said, "Blessings." Great quote. She goes on to say, "Yes, insecurities," and goes on to say, "Triggers can really trigger you." And that is so true. That is so true. We have to be conscious of what our triggers are And we have to even, again, just be on the lookout. I was talking to a good friend of mine about, in fact, defensive driving. We've all heard that term. And that means that we're
Mm-hmm.
not only driving for ourselves, but we're watching other people. We're driving and
Right.
we are looking at what they're doing because their driving can interfere with us. And the same thing is
Exactly.
true even with our mental health. Us being conscious of what somebody is doing or maybe what somebody is dealing with because they may be having a tantrum. That don't mean I have to match their energy. It means
Right.
what I need to do is I need to stay in my lane and keep control of
Mm-hmm.
myself. If they are, over there fishtailing and speeding and slamming on brakes, okay, all right. But I somebody needs to be mature. That's all I'm saying. Somebody
Exactly.
needs to be mature.
Exactly.
All right. Our next question says, in your experience, what role does forgiveness of self and others play in the healing and maturing process?
Hmm. In my experience, forgiveness was not for the other person.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Forgiveness was for me. Because if I'm not going to forgive and I'm sitting here just holding on to that, which it could be another part of trauma, which I have experienced myself, which I can, if I can be transparent,
Mm-hmm.
it put me in it put me in bondage, and I
Mm,
wasn't able to move forward on any level, whether it was career wise, relationship wise, even as a child, being able to face securities, being able to fight battles without crawling in a corner somewhere, crying or feeling some kind of way. So when it comes to forgiveness, I learned especially as a mature adult now, it was for
mm-hmm.
me.
Right,
That
right.
person has to deal with that on their own. So um,
Mhm.
you have to embrace forgiveness. And forgiveness comes on so many different levels that you have to be able to accept what it is,
Right,
and
right.
as I look at forgiveness in my journey as today, when it comes back to some of the wounds that I had in my childhood,
Mm-hmm.
i have I held so many grudges. I have to be transparent. I had
Uh-huh.
so many grudges as
Right.
from a childhood, just because bullying was horrible. That was one of my
Mm-hmm.
nightmares that I ever spoke about. And to this day, I don't even think my mom or my dad when he was living would know about it.
Mm.
But I I hate to say it, I was at a point in my life where I hated it, and I was like, when I got older, like in going to college, getting ready to go to college, I still had that little in me, which
Right.
blocked a lot of opportunities because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't forgiving people that had hurt me. So I'm
Right.
learning now as an adult, and it's still a journey, that forgiveness is about you. It's not for the other person.
That is so, so true. That is so, so true. And even with that, sometimes we have to forgive ourselves for not forgiving somebody else sooner. Sometimes we find ourselves where we actually beat ourselves up, and
Exactly.
so we have to be kind to ourselves. I was telling somebody else, that same grace that you show to other people, sometimes
Hmm.
you need to take a spoonful of that yourself. You need to give yourself some grace, so you can
Exactly.
understand that, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm still, like you said, on this journey, doing this thing called life, and really trying to get it right. And I remember Dr. George Fraser saying, if you don't get it right, make it right. And
Exactly.
that gives us that freedom to to correct or to work on or to put in the necessary work to get to where it
Hmm.
is we want to be. And yeah,
Hmm.
same grace that we have to offer somebody else, somebody's going to need to offer us. So we definitely got to
Exactly.
be aware of that. All right, so our next question number 5 says, what particular daily habits or practices help nurture both healing the inner child and strengthening the inner adult?
You know, it's the simple things. It's the
Okay.
simple things. It's just like waking up in the morning, telling yourself that I am that. I am beautiful. I am the one. I am the chosen one. It's statements as such as that. It's the simple things. It's also taking time out throughout the day and do something for yourself. We could be some of those, and I'm one of them sometimes, to be honest, always doing things for other people. Well, what am I doing for myself? You know, take time out. If you want to go get a pedicure, go to get a pedicure, but do something for yourself. And then also have that moment of being alone. There's nothing
Mm.
wrong with being alone. I call it my me time. And
Got
that
you.
me time allows me to have some clarity where if I'm ripping and running 24/7, I don't have time to really think about anything. But when you sit still and you think
Hmm.
about something, I mean, you can and pray for clarity. It's right there. So you have to have that, do something for yourself. Get up in the morning, affirmations, do whatever you need to do, but take care of self-awareness. Love on yourself. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with having selfishness love for yourself. Do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. We have to make time for what's important, and we
Hmm.
are important. And like you
Hmm.
say, we oftentimes are running and doing for everybody else, but do we put us on our schedule? I mean, do we pencil in rest and relaxation, or just downtime, or unplugged, or off the grid, or going to the park, going to the beach,
Hmm.
getting away from it all? And I know that allows, like you said, clarity, being
Hmm.
able to sit in that silence for a length of time to get a better understanding. And and again, a moment of transparency. When I was younger, I always had to have something going. I had to have the radio on, the TV on. I never really had a chance to where I was just quiet. But as
Hmm.
I started my personal development journey, I realized how important it was to be able to sit in silence, because that's when you can hear, in fact, not on your own thoughts, but when you can hear God better. So
Exactly.
definitely something that we all need to do. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a minute and we're going to run a couple of commercials. Then we're going to come back and get these last two questions. But I know that Dr. Jai has some things coming up that she want to talk about. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. All right, check out the words from my sponsor.
You've taken the first step. You've learned to heal. Now it's time to go deeper. The journey to maturity doesn't stop with awareness. It grows with action. In this powerful sequel to H.E.A.L, you'll uncover new strategies to elevate your mindset, strengthen your emotional resilience, and step fully into the adult you were always meant to be. This is more than a book. It's a blueprint for transformation. Are you ready to rise? The next chapter of your growth starts now. Available soon on Amazon.
And again, I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to share the sequel to this book. I mean, I have sold more copies of this book, H.E.A.L, than all of my other 5 previous books combined. But I realized that there was something that was missing in so many people's lives, and that was that part of themselves that they still carried. And but like I oftentimes say, we're not here to end the conversation. We just want to start it around inner child wounds, inner child trauma, but more importantly, inner child healing. Because once you heal, then you can mature. But not until you heal can the maturing starts. I do have another commercial here from a good friend of mine, actually, on Dr. LaDanya Yvette. She has a trilogy of books, and I'm going to share that with us now.
Every soul has a journey, a path waiting to unfold, and a destiny designed just for you. In infinity, the journey to becoming, you'll awaken to your own beginning. In eternity, the path unfolding, you'll find strength in every step forward. And in serendipity, the destiny of you, you'll embrace the beauty of who you were created to be. These are not just books, they are guides, companions for your heart and spirit. Your journey is calling. Answer it today. Purchase the trilogy now, available on Amazon.
We're so excited to be able to actually share that information. And these books are not just for us, they are for you. What's the point of having a picture that doesn't have a spout on it? The
Mhm.
stuff that's on the inside can't get out. Well, I know that I myself and I personally know Dr. Dedying, we have poured ourselves out onto the pages of these books to help you to get you a better place and a better space in life. And I know Dr. Jai, she has done the same thing. And so we want to finish up our questions so she can tell you about some things she has going on. So our next question says, can you share a personal breakthrough moment when you realized you were no longer controlled by past wounds, but guided by maturity?
Okay, good there. So, one of my major experience was, I could say insecurity because it
Mhm,
stemmed from bullying, from
mhm,
my inner childhood. And when I had that lack of insecurity, I didn't feel good about myself. There was a point in my life where I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't think
mhm.
I was one of the top per se people that people wanted to be with, hang around with, and this is all childhood experience.
Right,
Always,
right.
often, if I wasn't a part of an organization or in a group of something, then I always found myself by myself or lonely.
Mhm,
So insecurity really took a hold on me. And I
mhm,
really have to say that I'm one of those that go back and decipher a lot of things. And the decisions that I made as an adult, based on the lack of this insecurity, cause
mhm.
I know that your life is already kind of planned out, destined. But I asked myself if I had built up my security or my self-awareness, would I
Right.
have that route? Would I have entertained that person or
Mhm,
went for others to say? So
right.
now that I am in a different stem of part of my life right now,
Mhm,
security, I always think of myself as if you can do it, I can do it. And I am that person. I mean, I'm not
mhm.
being cocky. I'm just confident in what I'm
Right,
doing now. So I
right.
always say I am confident. So when I walk in a room, I belong there. So
Right.
that took a lot of praying, meditation. I actually had people. I had therapy sessions as well when it came to
Mhm,
that, building up my self-esteem because of the lack of the insecurity that was in me. So I'm at a
right.
point now that I'm so much better. So
Right.
insecurity can really be a downfall on so many levels and impact your adult maturity on so many levels. You miss out on so many opportunities just because you're insecure about yourself.
That's true. That's so, so true. How I started on this journey, because I do personal development and also I do leadership development. But I remember I
Hmm.
was speaking several years ago at this Focus Women's Conference, and I was in a
Hmm.
room with about 100 women of different ages, different stages of life. And my presentation was entitled Wearing the Right Mindset. But at the end
Hmm.
of that presentation, I had all of them to do this exercise. I had them to close their eyes, put their hand over their
Uh-huh.
heart, and I had them to talk to the little girl that was within them. I had them to tell that little girl just how proud the adult version of her was of that little girl for being strong enough to go through everything she went through for her to be the woman that she is right now. But
Hmm.
I also wanted them to know that that little girl was proud of the woman that they become. And I can't
Hmm.
tell you how many women after that, again, the different ages and stages of life, some of them with tears in their eyes came up to me afterwards and thanked me, not just for the information that I shared, but even for that exercise. Because so many of them, they had actually forgot about her. They had said, well, I'm an adult now, I'm grown. But, and I tell people this all the time, if you have current day behavior that was seeded in your childhood that's still showing up, like we talked about earlier about stuff being triggered, then that's
Hmm.
something that we need to take the time to address and deal with that so that we can heal from it and then be
Hmm.
able to have the life that God intended for us to have. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, we have to be able to evaluate ourselves and grade our own papers and see where we need to put in the work because we all have work to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our
Mm-hmm.
last question is what encouragement would you give to someone who feels stuck in old patterns and unsure if real healing is possible for them?
I'm a firm believer, let go and release. I always, and I use this term a lot. If you can change it, change it. But if you can't change it, let it go. And what's in your past does not define who you are today. So you have to come to a realization that, yes, it happened, but that's not who I am today. And just let go, embrace, let, as they said, old out, new in. You have
Mm-hmm.
to do about it, but you can just work on your healing process right now.
Right,
You
right,
can't go back and stop what happened to you. You can't go back and say, hey, this didn't happen. All you
right,
can do is embrace what happened, focus on it, what you're going to do about it now, or what you're doing about your healing process. Be consistent. Consistent is very important with your healing process. Don't think that you can say you do 15 things last month and then next month you don't do nothing. And then you
right,
wake up and next month you're like, oh, you don't had a flashback.
right,
I'm saying to you is that be consistent, release and let go. That's
right.
it.
That's it. That's it. Hey, listen, we got some comments here. In fact, my wife, in fact, my wife, she says balance is a must. In fact, Yolanda says
Mhm.
balance is a must. We got, in fact, Dr. Diane here. She says, thank you for sharing. And we have a very powerful message, and that is so, so true. So we all have work that we can do. We have stuff that we need to put our focus on for us, and then for the people around us. It reminds me of being on an airplane, and how they go through the whole spiel, and they say, if the cabin pressure drops, these masks are gonna fall down. It says put a mask on yourself first, and then help somebody else. And
Mhm.
I think so many people are trying to put masks on other folks, and they are the ones that are collapsing because they haven't taken care of themselves first. Um,
Exactly.
Yeah, so we have a huge opportunity to modeled what it is we want other people to see, and so that's where it comes from us working on ourselves, choosing ourselves, but being the model that somebody else can then follow.
Exactly.
So with that being said, I know you have a lot of stuff going on. I know you have something coming up tomorrow. So tell us a little bit about that.
I have created throughout the year of 2026 is a little concept called tea time. And when
Okay.
I say tea time, you automatically think, oh, tea time, you're going to sit around, is some women just talking and like that. But tea time is for anybody. My tea
Mhm.
time platform would be for in-depth conversations, uncomfortable conversations, while
Mm,
we're in the presence of having fun and having, eating, breaking bread together.
right.
It's a platform where you can share some things that you thought you weren't going to ever tell anybody. So it's
Okay.
uncomfortable situations and conversations. And I have implemented different episodes and different settings to bring that out. It's a form of empowerment for me. It's a form of showing compassion for individuals. It's a
Right.
form of recognizing self-awareness for people. And it's a form of motivation. You know,
Okay.
you can be whatever you want to be. Can't nobody tell you what you can't do. So I
Right.
have created that platform, and then I put it in different settings. I know I got a lot of tea time coming up, and I also have a setting where it's called candlelight conversation. Who would ever thought
Okay.
that you were going to go to the lounge and start talking about your personal stuff? But it's a different setting. You're already having fun. So why not just put it out there because you can help someone? So it's just different settings I'm doing. And then I'm currently working. I'm going to drop the date soon. I'm going to be doing a conference soon. And it's
Okay.
called You Did It. That's it. You did it. And that
You
means
did it.
that you did it. So
Okay.
you overcame some of your barriers, you overcame some heartaches and pains, and it's just men and women coming together and sharing their story, but also giving other coping mechanisms that can help someone. So that's what I'm going to drop the date soon. So I'm working on that, and it's going to, I'm sure it's going to be a success because it's a platform where you can just come together and love on each other.
Right. And I mean, believe me, you know, we need that more today than we ever needed it before. And I applaud you, and I applaud you taking up the mantle of, you know, doing that for people, you know, so they can have a place and have a safe space, you know, to where they can, you know, connect, where they can talk and share, and also where they can understand that, hey, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one trying to better myself. I'm not the only one that did or that went through that. I'm not the only one that made a mistake. I'm not the only one that's trying to recover. I'm not the only one that's trying to rebuild my life and myself. So us putting on things like that, putting on events and bringing people together for that, for the sole purpose of bettering humanity. Again, I applaud you for the work that you're doing. And so if somebody wanted to follow you and find out more and stay connected with you, how would they do that?
I am a Facebook person. I do have Instagram, but you can all of my advertising, all of my events and things that I'm doing will be on my Facebook page, and it's called Dr. Ja. That's Jai.
Okay. And for those of you who are possibly even listening to this on Spotify or iHeart Radio, and even those who watch it on Facebook, on YouTube, or on LinkedIn, I put all of her contact information. It's around the video. So you can go in and you can check her out and you can follow her that way. Hey, listen, Dr. Jai, I want to thank you for taking out of your busy schedule. I'm so glad that we were able to connect and actually share this time together. Do you have any last words for our listeners?
Yes. Don't let your childhood experience define who you are today. Don't do it because you did it.
You got through it. You survived it. Yeah, that's
you
so
did
true. Yeah. All right. Last couple of comments here. It's a very powerful message and awesome. So we are so excited. So listen, those of you who know or who have followed me for any length of time, you know that I also do, like I said, personal development and leadership development. And so what I've started to do is I've started to close out my podcast with my sizzle reel. So until next time, we want to thank you for tuning in and check out this sizzle reel.
Well, my name is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. I'm a motivational speaker, a trainer, and a coach. I'm also an author. I help people in the area of personal development and leadership development because I believe that you can't lead others until you learn how to lead yourself. But once you learn how to lead yourself, the next logical step is that you lead other people.
Sakoni Prince is the best keynote I've ever seen.
He really encouraged me so much.
He has this ability of seeing in people what they don't see in themselves.
He was so confident. When he was coming to the stage, you could see like, wow, this is a lion.
Any actor that's going for a role, they do a case study. If I'm going to be a fry cook, I go to a restaurant and watch people that are fry cooks. If I'm going to be a mob boss, I go and, well, maybe not go to with them, but you take some notes as to what they do. Our children are watching us. What can they reference when they step into our shoes?
I do what I do because I believe that people have truly yet to understand their purpose. Once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. But until you know who you are, anything can. So my goal is to really help people to understand their purpose and their calling. And oftentimes they have the answers themselves, but they're not asking the right questions. So I help people to get to that place to where they look at themselves. They step back and they see how they've been a help to those around them and what really drives them. And from that, they really understand the value of it. They learn to value their value and see what value their value brings. Because a lot of people, they have yet to do that.
Until you know who you are, until you know who you are, anything can stop you. But once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. I want you to understand that you are blessed. That you are blessed to be a blessing. That there is somebody looking up to you. They're looking at you. Don't ever forget that. Because if you ever do, you're going to leave them without a mind.
I've learned so much, and I've experienced a lot of interactions with people.
The practical approach, like you can't just sit down there. You have to walk up to an opportunity. Sometimes you have to grab the opportunity. Sometimes you have to fight for the opportunity. There's so much life lessons.
I think from today onwards, I'll stretch out and reach to higher levels.